fam? What's up? Welcome back to the REI Big Shots podcast with my co-host, Victor Heredia, and our very, very special guest. You have no idea who we have today. Nick Perry. This dude is a legend in the wholesaling workspace, right? We met back in 2015, 2016. We're just talking about how much things have changed since then. But you've been able to pull yourself out of that wholesaling space, out of the wholesaling business, and do bigger things. Really kind of live the virtual lifestyle and moved. I mean, right now you're living in Cancun. Your business, which is in the States, is still growing without you. You put yourself in the owner's box. I mean, done millions and millions of dollars in real estate transactions and profits. So I mean, it's nothing short of extraordinary, man. And I remember, having some of the very early conversations and talking about like the basic stuff that we were both trying to figure out back then on how to close deals, how to talk to sellers, and sticking through, some of the thick, right, that comes with understanding the entire wholesaling space. So with that being said, dude, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for spending time with us, man.
Dude, honored and excited to be here. And you know what? We've known each other since 2015. Rafael was one of the guys that helped me get my first deal. It took me 11 months and 104 face-to-face seller appointments, driving in a car with no AC in the Texas heat. And I struck out over and over and over again. And I had to get around guys like this to help me sharpen up my sales ability to start really locking up deals. So it's about who you surround yourself with.
Man, it's wild. 104.
That's nuts.
9 months, man. People quit after 3 weeks, usually.
Yeah, it says a lot about you because most people, after appointment 15, 17, they would quit. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's nuts. I want to get into that because that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the mindset behind that was, I never wanted to work for somebody. So I didn't want to have a 9-to-5 job. And I realized that the only way to do that was to be a business owner, to be an entrepreneur. And I've had a deep, burning desire to do that. But obviously I was failing over and over and over. And this was not a part-time effort. I was busting my ass, handwriting yellow letters, driving to appointments, getting doors slammed on my face. And I remember at like appointment 75, like it just like got to me. Like I hit my breaking point and I got home. I had a big hole in my back because I just had back surgery. And so it was a terrible summer, just striking out appointment to appointment. And I was like, started having those voices like, maybe this is not cut out for me. Maybe other people can do it, but I can't. Is this even real? Am I wasting my time? All the things that you're probably thinking right now, if you haven't got your first deal yet, it really hit me hard. And I started thinking about quitting for a second. And I had what's called sunken cost fallacy, which is when you go too far down a road, then it's like you just got to keep going.
Yeah. It's
right?
like, oh, well, I'm already at this point.
Yeah,
I might
you
as well
can't
keep
stop.
going.
I was like, so what are the options? It's like either this is going to kill me and I'm going to just like be homeless writing bandit signs on cardboard in the back of like, a dumpster, or I'm going to end up making it. So I burned my ships, as you say, and just was like, this is the only way out is through.
But that's really insane though, because I know a lot of guys that hey, it took me 6 months or it took me 3 months or whatever, but I don't know anyone that's gone on over 100 appointments and didn't give up. That says a lot about your drive and your like you said, that burning desire. Like, I'm curious, like talk a little bit about that. Go ahead, Rafael.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, take that level of attitude, that level of commitment, right? And then blow it up over a period of 8-10 years. I mean, you see the trajectory.
Yeah, totally.
The dude hasn't slowed down. This guy's going around the world.
Yeah, it's
you just came back from Asia. I mean, again, you've lived in a whole bunch of different places, so I think you keep exploring with your own lifestyle, right? And now, on the same token, you're empowering entrepreneurs, you're empowering people around you through the coaching programs and the stuff that you've learned through the years.
Yeah, but I think from what I know, I think Nick, you probably do more than anyone else when it comes to nationwide deals, right? I'm pretty sure you're like the top guy. Maybe there's someone that we don't know about, but you're like the top dog when it comes to that.
Right.
What drives that? Because 104 appointments, and then the level you're at now, what drives? What's behind that? I like to know like what drives that. What do you think that is? Have you analyzed what it is that pushes you forward? Because I think people can learn from that.
I always wanted to be great at something. Growing up, I wanted to be a professional baseball player, and wasn't good enough at that. And then I got into bodybuilding. You know, I've competed. I made it to nationals, and then decided like, dude, these guys are way too big and they're on way too much juice. Like, I need to figure out something. So when I got into the business world, and I found real estate wholesaling, I was like, this is something that I can sink my teeth into and do whatever it takes to become the best. So, you know, I started studying from, you know, great people like Sean Terry. You know, I went to Carlos Reyes's events and joined every mastermind I could in the early days to try to continue to learn and surround myself with good people. And you know what Tupac says? He says, study the greats until they're not great to you anymore.
That's a good quote.
Wow,
And
yeah.
I always had that. I said, you know what? I'm just going to keep working and keep studying, keep getting 1% better until I look up and there's nobody else to go past. And it was that, and I just didn't stop.
How do you top that? Like,
Yeah, totally.
when
Yeah.
you know you're just gonna keep going.
You just keep going
until the
nonstop.
wheels fall off. Like,
Yeah.
how do you top that?
Yeah.
Like, you know.
And what did you do those moments where like you're like, man, this is just too much. Like, you know, I'm almost done. Like, I don't think I could do this. Like, what did you do to keep yourself going at that point?
Everything is figure outable. Like, I went through a lot of adversity, like, you know, getting in trouble, getting locked up, being in a lot of, you know, crazy personal situations in my, you know, adolescence and early adulthood. So to me, like, the adversity that comes up in the business world, like, oh, a bunch of deals fell out, you know, we're having title issues, one of your employees just quit, your marketing campaigns are all screwed up. Like, to me, all that stuff is figure outable. It doesn't, you know, ever make me feel like I'm gonna quit. If there's a problem, I just chunk it down into actionable steps and get to work. It's just another day in the office.
So don't let the negatives bring you down. It's a big part of it.
Yeah, especially in business, shit's gonna hit the fan all the time. Every part of your business is gonna break multiple times throughout your career. You got to continue to innovate and figure out how to, you know, move forward in any situation. If you can't do that, you don't have thick enough skin to do that, then you're probably not gonna make it very far.
Yeah.
Is that, I mean, one thing I see, and it's a common denominator, right? Like in a lot of athletes, people that, you know, competitive sports and that sort of thing, for example, you've done it in the past, like that no quit, you know, kind of, you know, DNA strand is in there, right? Like, did you, like, now you just kind of gave us a breakdown of how you go about it, right? You see an issue, like, I'm gonna figure this out. But back then, when you were first getting started, I mean, was that part of the MO, or did you have, you know, how were you dealing with, you know, the doubt that creeps in inevitably when you're learning, you know, going through a learning curve on anything? Right?
There was no alternative, because the only other alternative was to, like, get a job and to work for somebody the rest of my life. And to me, like, that was worse than anything.
Yeah.
Right? I always wanted to be my own boss and have the ability to set my own worth rather than having somebody else tell me what my worth was. Yeah. You know, I was always that rebellious kid in school that, you know, was getting kicked out and getting in trouble because I could not stand being told what to do by somebody else. I think a lot of us entrepreneurs have that, you know, rebellious spirit in them.
Yeah, for sure.
So that was a big part of it. And, like, I knew I wouldn't last very long in a job, so, you know, I was like, I got to make this work. No option.
You kind of reminded me of, you know, the moment when you break down and you're going through the, you know, the doubt, right? But you have, like, you don't have any other exits. It's easy to start second guessing, like, whether or not I'm cut out for, you know, for this type of, you know, of business. Maybe, you know, somebody else could do it, but it's not me. Like, all kinds of stupid ideas start going through our minds. I remember, dude, my first week, and I don't think I've ever shared this, but my first week going out there, I locked up 6 contracts, right? So I came back triumphant on Monday, right? Like, they all fell through. They were like, I locked them super high. I was paying more than retail. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So the second week, I'm feeling destroyed. I'm like, this is gonna be tough, and I get, like, just chewed out by this lady at one appointment, and I'm feeling like, man, like, this is week 2, man, like the week 2, and I was like, no, this is not for me. This is no, I mean, I suck at this. Like, there's no way that, you know, I'm quitting. That's it. And I had to cancel my next appointment because I went and I sat down, or I sat in my car outside a grocery store for like a good 2 hours, just contemplating the future, like, what do I do? What's my next move? I was planning on this thing, to be a thing for the next, I don't know, 5 years plus. And there's moments where we're broken down, like, and like you feel like you're beat to shit.
But the difference between guys like you and Vic and myself versus, people that end up quitting is you've got that spirit, you have that dog in you when your back's up against the wall, it's looking terrible, that you got that fighter spirit.
That you refuse to quit.
That's
you
it.
Refuse.
That is the difference between being a winner and a loser.
No, 100%. Because I mean, I'll be honest, and I think Nick knows this. I mean, everyone knows this. I mean, I think for us in wholesaling, the real estate, I think 2023 was like probably the worst year ever for a lot of us, right? Especially for guys like me that were selling to a lot of hedge funds, that they're not buying. And it just like, you know what, it sucks, but I refuse to quit. Like, come hell or high water, I'm gonna make it happen.
You don't stop, you pivot.
Yeah, you just pivot, but you just can't quit. So that says a lot about you, because you've been in the business since what, 2013?
2014.
Yeah,
So
long
it's been a
time. So you've
decade,
seen a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah.
What does your business model look like right now?
Right now, my office is in Austin, Texas. So I'm removed from my company. I live in Cancun, Mexico. So my CEO sits in my office in Austin, and the entire business stops at him.
Yeah.
So I don't get involved in any of the day-to-day decisions. I couldn't tell you a single address or property we have, what we're flipping, what we're renting. That's all up to him. And then underneath of him, I think we have 14 or 15 guys in there currently. So we have 7 or 8 acquisitions, 3 dispo, 2 transaction coordinators, an executive assistant, him. We got a couple junior acquisitions in there, so we're in there grinding all day.
Let me ask you, how did you do that? And the reason I asked that question, and there's a lot of guys that say they're not in their business, but I don't know anyone that's doing wholesaling real estate that isn't in the business. I think you're really, I think, the only person I know that's truly more of a non-operational, more of an ownership, right? I really don't know any guys that are not in their business. How did you do that? Like, how did you do it first mentally, right? Like mentally, but also how did you structure your business so you're able to step away? And at what point did you do it?
Great question. So, one comes a little bit of luck, right? My CEO is phenomenal. We've been working together for going on 9 years now.
And he's super smart too.
Correct.
Yeah.
He was my intern when I was in the corporate world. And then I left and did real estate full time. 6 months later, he called me. He's like, "Hey, do you have any jobs available?" And I said, "No." I mean, he was making 6 figures a year. I was like, "I don't have anything for you." And he's like, "Well, I'll do." He's like, "I'll do anything." Like, I'm like, "You can cold call fucking old leads for me."
Yeah.
And he was like, "How much?" I was like, $2,000 a month. He was like, "All right, let's do it."
Wow.
And he worked from that point being a cold caller to a leads manager to acquisitions. Then when we started bringing in additional people, he took seniority, and I just groomed him over the years.
Yeah.
Right. As we brought new people into the organization, I would give him additional responsibility to help them get trained up, oversee them. When I would go on vacation, he would be the one to be my eyes and ears and run point. And then as we grew, eventually I put him in as a COO. So he was over top of acquisitions and dispositions. But I was still in the office full time.
Yeah.
And he was the COO from 2018 to 2021. And then I knew he needed to continue to grow. So the next step was to get me out of the way.
Yeah.
So what we did was we came up with a structure that incentivized him to step into the CEO role, which meant everything is under his control. I'm talking accounts, payroll. Anything happens to me, call my CEO.
Yeah.
So he did that, and I said, "Here's the deal: you're going to CEO now, and I'm going to go ahead and move away, and we'll see how it goes quarter by quarter.
Yeah.
And I'll come back and visit, every month or so." And first quarter went good, second quarter went good, and then the trips got less and less. So I used to go back to Austin, once a month. I was traveling back and forth pretty often, and then it was, once a quarter. And now I still go once a quarter because I love it.
Yeah.
It's like my baby. But my baby's grown up now, and it's went off to college.
Yeah.
But when I go back to my office, it's like going and visiting your college kid. They're like, "Hey, Dad, good to see you, but we don't really need you here."
Yeah.
Like, let's go out to lunch.
How
and I'll
long?
see you later.
How long are you gonna be in town? When are you go back?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And let me ask you a question, because we do learn from our failures, right? Thinking back, because I'm curious to get your thoughts. Thinking back, those 104 appointments, why do you think you weren't closing those?
Because I had zero knowledge of what I was doing in terms of underwriting the deals. My sales ability was absolute garbage.
Gotcha.
So one thing that really helped me improve my sales ability was I went to I had to get a job because I was failing miserably, and I ended up getting a job at Indeed.com, which is an inside sales role. It's like, one of the top sales organizations in the United States, and it's all over the phone. Phone sales. It's 60 calls a day, 120 minutes, high quotas, high pressure, and being in that boiler room
Setting
really brought something out of me, because I was back against the wall. Like, I was failing in wholesaling. I didn't have a job. I was down to my last $800, and I was like, I have to go and make this shit work. I got to go in and beast out in this job so I can eventually, be a full-time entrepreneur, but I have to go through this. I was like, the faster I go into the sales job and make money, the faster I can get out and be on my own. So I went in with $800 in my account, and I became Rookie of the Year, top gun of sales, and was making like $220 a year at Indeed. And then that was the initial capital that I used as a safety net and in investable cash to start my wholesaling company.
Well, that's kind of nuts, because at 250, most people would be like, I'm done with wholesaling. This is $250 a year. I'm going to stay here.
No,
You know
I can never have the golden handcuffs though.
Yeah.
Like, I can't be bought.
Yeah.
going back to that, I don't want to be told what to do. Type of thing.
That independent spirit.
Yeah, you could offer to me $1 million, but I can't be bought.
Yeah.
I can resonate with that, man, quite well. I mean, the reason I stepped down, for example, it was when I was closing for Sean. I was great company. I loved coming in and then breaking everything down. But at the end of the day, like, I felt I had to build my own thing, and I had a combo with him. I'm used to having my own business, and it's just different, right? When you're wired that way, it's not about the money at that point. It's
about the freedom.
Yeah, the freedom, self fulfillment, and sometimes, dude, it's just like it's the challenge. Like,
Well, they'll call it self-actualization, right? Like, you wanna reach your full potential, right?
Right. And it's not for everybody, but like guys like us that are wired that way, there's no other option.
Yeah.
I have a saying, like, everybody wants to be the boss until it's time to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right now, how many deals on average a month is your company pulling in?
Between 30 to 40.
30 to 40. And your main source of marketing is PPC?
PPC and PPL. Yep.
You went national on it. Sean gives you credit for showing him how to do the PPC on a national scale and everything. I was talking to him a while back. It was like, yeah, Nick, he talked to you and you just, pitched him on this whole different ideas. Like, and he said that he was pushing back from it because he just like, I don't know how it works.
Yeah.
You came in, broke everything down, and then it's just, he started doing the same stuff. But you're one of the few dudes that has been able to do it and actually scale it, right, at a national level.
It was brain damage. I mean, when I first started doing it, everybody was like, dude, just stick to your local markets. This is financial suicide. Don't do this national thing. Yeah. But I knew that if I was able to crack the dispo side of it and the transaction side of it, it was way more scalable, and it was going to be a much better model because I could get leads 10% of the cost of what my competitors were getting doing them local.
Yeah,
right.
So 2016, I was paying $300 a lead I was marketing in Dallas, Houston, Austin, and it was very expensive. And I was running out of leads. And then one day, I just started calling these leads that I was getting from outside of the area.
Yeah.
And I got a contract in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And I was like, shit, what do I do with this contract? And I scrambled. I found, some people on Facebook and was able to, connect the dots. And I ended up getting a $12,000 assignment on that. And that was proof of concept. And then I just, continued to do it and refine the process over really a couple years. I mean, it wasn't fully put together overnight. It took a while to streamline it.
And Oh, go ahead.
For the longest time, man, I thought the holy grail, right, wasn't the acquisitions portion. Yeah, you got to know how to negotiate and structure deals and talk, and and have those conversations, right? Talk to the sellers, but your dispo, man, like that's one thing that as we went national, I was like, oh shit. I mean, I have a lot of legwork to do on the
as you go
dispo
national,
side,
your dispo needs to be just
Different
as strong
beats.
as your acquisitions. I think.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I really put a lot of effort in. Like that was one thing I'm very proud of, is being able to build that nationwide dispo system.
Yeah.
And it was just trial and error over, time, and buying data, and figuring out what works, and then putting the SOP behind it, and that was it.
What are some common mistakes that you see that guys that try to go national, what mistakes do they make, and that causes them to fail, in your opinion, just from what you see?
Underwriting is the biggest cause of failure, because underwriting properties nationwide it's different than doing it in your own backyard.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No two markets are like a lot of them a lot of these guys, they'll go out and they'll look at sold comps still. Whenever you're say you get a lead in a random market, you want to look at the pendings. What percentage of properties have gone pending? Because that's going to tell you how hot a market is.
Yeah.
Right. So that's one tip.
So if there's very few pendings, it's going to be tough to sell that deal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gotcha. So you got to buy it cheaper.
Correct. And you gotta know what you're doing with your underwriting. I don't think that gets enough credit, and it's not very talked about because it's boring,
Yeah.
But
it's not sexy.
It's not sexy, but that is one of the hard skills that you need to master in order to become really good in the nationwide game.
Gotcha.
One thing I learned through it, and the underwriting specifically, it's we look at days on market. So we look at pending. We'll take a look at closed stuff because it tells us what's happened, and then we'll look at listed because it tells us what's gonna happen, right? Like and there's always the discrepancy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, 30, 40K on the same property between sold comp and listed comps. And then you have price adjustments and that sort of thing. But days on market is one of the key metrics, I think, for us to gauge market activity, and then see how heavy. Like, okay, you might be able to get that, but it's gonna take you 327 days.
Yeah. Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, days on market is huge. But it's interesting what you mentioned about Brandon, his CEO. Yeah, when I talked to Brandon, it was actually in Vegas. I was picking his brain, and man, he really is a wealth of knowledge on how to underwrite those deals.
Well, I mean, he's looked at 15, 20 properties a day for 9 years straight.
Yeah.
So you become an encyclopedia. Like, I'll put him up against comping to any realtor, any broker, any investor in the nation. Yeah. If there was a comping Olympics, he would be the gold medalist. Yes.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
So yeah, I mean, we were talking about pivoting, right? Like you've been able to grow this business. I mean, and just pull yourself out of it. The thing is still growing, which is impressive, right? So it's not only operating, but it's actually growing. And you decided to make a pivot. I mean, now you've tapped into investments in other areas. And what does that look like as an entrepreneur, right? And what makes you is like, okay, cool. I've done this in this space. What gives you the itch to move on and tackle a whole different vertical?
So if you can become good at wholesaling, you can go out and do anything. Like wholesaling is what makes you like a just straight up entrepreneur.
Bro, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I mean, it
I
just
agree.
on every aspect, on the conversation aspect, the marketing aspect, the
sales aspect,
the sales, everything.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's such an amazing skill, and I would highly advise anybody for their first business to do wholesaling. Right?
Yeah.
It's great when you're broke and you're trying to go to 7 figures, but wholesaling doesn't really scale, very far past that. If you're looking to have 8, 9, 10 figure business, you got to look at a better vehicle, because this vehicle it's good for that entry level, but if you're looking to take the next steps, you got to figure out what you can do to expand. My goal is to have a portfolio of companies, right? My wholesaling operation, I want to keep that going forever because it's going to feed me off-market, deeply discounted real estate in order to continue to grow. Like, real estate's always going to be a huge part of my portfolio, but I also want to have a portfolio of companies, then some that I exit for 9 figures plus, and wholesaling is tough to do it that way. So now looking at other companies to buy. So I'm actively shopping. I got multiple. I can't talk about right now, but I'm super excited about the next chapter. And that. But it's all the skills from wholesaling that I'm already like. I could just go in here and do these things, and double, triple, quadruple revenue.
So you just apply what you learned in wholesaling to another business.
Correct. Yeah. It's just all business is the same.
It's on marketing and sales.
Yep. Marketing, sales, operations, hiring the right people. That's
but I mean, I think it forces you to stand in rooms and build relationships with people that normally wouldn't happen, right? I mean, I think we're one of the industries that's more that's the friendliest.
We're definitely open,
to masterminds and collaboration and that sort of thing. I mean, if you go to the insurance industry, go to the even just realtors. You talk to realtors, like, what's a mastermind?
Yeah.
You know what I mean, and that sort of thing. But in our industry, it just pulls people. The conferences, just the growth mentality. Like, I think it's there. It's all over the place, and that creates this hub, right? This. For bigger projects and connections and I mean, you never know where one conversation is gonna just give you a pivot on a great idea that you might be like, shit, man, now I want to tap into this.
Well,
right?
It goes back to what I asked him about why it took you so many appointments and you couldn't close them. It's really you didn't have the skill set yet, and so we realized that in our business, it's all sales skills. It's all skills. Like, it's all education. And I think that's why we're all open to going to masterminds, because we realize like that's a requirement to succeed in this business. Like,
Absolutely.
You really can't succeed. And it's funny what you mentioned about you going to all kinds of masterminds. Carlos Reyes used to tell me, Vic, you go to everybody's events. I'm like, yeah, because I know that's what it takes. Like, I know that's what's necessary. And I tell the story many times. My cousin, he passed away, unfortunately, but he had about 2,000 employees. And I asked him, like, how did you get to that level? Like, what are the things that you did to get to that level? And the number one thing he said, well, number one, I was humble. I was like, and I wasn't expecting. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I knew I didn't know everything. So I sought out people that were in the business that had some level of success. And I just asked them about their business, and I applied what they taught me to my business. And, he became super successful. So it's really like being humble enough to learn. And everybody knows, like, you're super humble in that respect. Like, you're always willing to learn. Like, tell us a little bit about that.
No, I appreciate that. No, humility is a huge part of it. Yeah, I'm a big believer in God, and I know God can take whatever you have away from you just like that, right? So I'm very grateful every single day that I wake up, and I don't think that I'm anywhere close to where I want to be in terms of my potential. Yeah. So, I'm always looking to learn from anybody. I think that you can learn, from the bum on the street, and you can learn from the CEO at the top of the Fortune 500 company. So to be that arrogant is a disservice to yourself and to everybody around you. So I'm a huge believer in trying to just treat everybody with respect, and you never know what you can learn.
Yeah, a lot of people say that humility is that when you're humble, it's having a low opinion of yourself. But I'm like, no, that's not what it is. What it is you don't look if you're better than someone else, but you're still respectful of your position in life and how you compare to God, right? I mean, that's a big factor.
That's right. God's got a paddle for everybody's ass. Yeah. I don't care if you're a billionaire or where you're at. God can take it away just like that. So you just be grateful for every day you wake up healthy above ground, and you got an opportunity to go out and chase your dreams. Be very grateful for that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. You know what, dude? That's the common denominator on the people that I see, hit levels of success, right? And I say levels because I think we're continuously, growing, right? Like, success to you looks very different now than what it looked like 5 years ago.
Right.
With that being said, I mean, I think the gratitude factor and understanding that, like, shit, man, I don't know everything. I don't know it all. When we're walking the path with that kind of mindset, that kind of mentality, there's this, I don't know, this energy, this gravitational pull towards more resources and people that can help us along the way, and just shine light on the stuff that we're not aware of.
Mm-hmm.
And when I come across and there's a lot of arrogant people in our space, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's almost like they're holding themselves back because of this wall.
There's an Arabic, not to cut you off, there's an Arabic expression that says arrogance diminishes wisdom. And it is true. Like when you're arrogant, you think you know everything, and so you don't seek out new knowledge.
Correct.
You know?
Yeah, it'll cripple you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, that's the only way for growth is humility.
Yeah. 100%.
So I mean, dude, you're one of the rawest dudes I see on social media. I don't follow a lot of people.
And realists.
Yeah, realist. And I mean, you're pretty transparent about you know the way that you operate, you know, the life that you live, and I like that, dude. I mean, that's you know, not a lot of people open up, you know, like that to showcase who they truly are, right? Has that always been a thing, or is that something that you know kind of grew into?
No, yeah, I don't give a shit. Like I just want to be honest and open, and I think that the truth is always the best way in every regards. And you're either gonna like me or you're not gonna like me, and I don't really care either way. I'm just, you know, I know I'll be the right people will be attracted to me, and the ones that aren't won't, and that doesn't bother me either. So like I'm just gonna be me. You know, I would rather live a bold life full of truth than a fucking life full of bullshit.
Yeah. It's funny. My wife goes, Nick, he's my favorite. He's my favorite. Like, you know, because he's so nice and he's so real. You know what I mean? It's kind of funny.
Yeah, I just don't believe in, you know, trying to, you know, have an ego or, you know, project more than you are. Just be fucking real.
Yeah.
I like that, man. I think this, you know, it serves us in you know, when you're like that, right? And you're just, you know, up and honest about who you are, and it doesn't matter whether you post it or when you're just you, right? It does a couple of things. Like the people who don't resonate with you, it's still a good thing because they're out of your way.
Yeah, you get rid of them.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, the people who do resonate with you is like, okay, that can be an authentic relationship, a friendship, you know, something that flourishes.
Yeah.
Right.
So
that being said, let me ask you a question, Nick. What advice would you give to guys, the newbies that are just starting, but also the guys that have been doing it for a few years and they feel stuck?
Yeah, I mean, I've been both. So for the newbies that are just getting into it, I would say don't overcomplicate this business. I think a lot of people think that, oh, I need to get my CRM, I need to get my LLC, I need to do all these complicated series of steps just to get started. All you need is your cell phone and buy some leads. You can reach out to a paper lead provider, buy some leads, and start talking to sellers. Don't do anything else. Just do that. Yeah. Just use fucking Google Sheets as your CRM for a little while until you close.
It's
your
gotta
first
be
deal.
okay.
Exactly.
If you don't have over 100 leads to follow up on, you don't need anything.
Yeah.
Correct.
You can do it all on a spreadsheet.
Like I didn't have an LLC until I closed like 60 deals.
Really?
Yes.
You're kidding?
I'm serious.
Oh wow.
I'm serious. I closed the first 60 transactions under
That's nuts.
just sole prop, just under Nick Perry.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Savage.
That's crazy.
So that's the first thing I think for anybody getting into the game. Second thing for anybody getting into the game is find good mentorship, right? I'm a byproduct of having good mentors in my life.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's what's going to shortcut your learning curve, and it's also going to it's going to drastically increase your success rate.
Yeah, and the thing is too, there's a lot of people, because I used to have this mindset. I'm like, oh, he just wants to sell me his coaching program. That's what you think, right? Like that's all he wants to do. But once you get into the business, and then once you hire one mentor or you join one mastermind, you're like, oh damn, that really made a big difference.
I don't know why people think that, because if you look at like Fortune 500 companies, they pay outside consultants to come into their business millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's
so true.
common in other industries you pay for consulting.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's really a limiting belief, and I used to think that way too, and I felt it was like, no, I mean, I don't know, I can figure this out. I'm gonna go find the info somewhere.
And you can. It's gonna probably take you 5 years.
You know what
I mean?
It's gonna take you way longer. I mean, you left money on the table with that, and then you're not walking away with the relationships either. Like the power network is one of the biggest things.
Oh man,
about getting in these tables, right?
Yeah.
If you feel like find a way to get a seat at the table somehow, some way. Sometimes it's gonna be with value add and elbow grease and actually doing some work for people. Sometimes it's gonna be like pay your way through a mentorship program that allows you to sit and have high level conversations.
I always have the joke that if you didn't pay $5,000 to be in the room, then we're probably not friends.
Yeah.
Right? Because all of my closest relationships and friendships outside of like my immediate family have come from going to masterminds.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where you're going to meet the most high quality people. You're not going to meet them in your hometown. You're not going to meet them at the bar or the bowling alley. You're going to meet them in rooms like that.
Yeah.
So, you put yourself around proximity. Like, proximity is power. And that's what's opened up all the doors. If I ever have a problem in my business, I got people I can call.
Yeah.
Right. If I'm stuck somewhere, I might call Vic or I might call you.
And it's not just on the nuts and bolts of the business. Like sometimes we just get on a mind funk, man. And it's like, shit, you need to have a combo. Like, dude, are you okay? Like,
Yeah.
And it's speaking to somebody who understands the level of stress that we put ourselves through is important, right? And like that shit you can't get from YouTube.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, you develop such great friendships. Like I've known you guys for so long now. Vic and his wife, they come to Cancun. We go on vacations, and those are the people that you want to do life with.
Yeah.
It's not going to be some random person from your hometown.
Yeah. What's interesting, I say this many times, and I think we can all agree, like we got into the business, all we wanted to do was make money. That's all we cared about. But once you get into the business and you make money, you realize, man, I've made a lot of good friendships. It's really nuts, right?
It's a blessing. It's a huge blessing.
It's now it's like, wow, like look at all the friendships I made. It's insane.
Right.
That's kind of like that's like a secondary benefit. That's actually the primary.
High quality friends.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
It's good to have rich friends though, too.
Yeah. It doesn't hurt, right?
Yes.
It doesn't hurt. Yeah, it doesn't hurt.
Dean Graziosi actually told me that because I felt like I when I got into a space of telling the people what I could do or in terms of like coaching and showing people and teaching people and everything, I was very shy about that.
Yeah.
Because I was still being driven by my internal belief, right? Of like, no, if I feel I can figure it out, they probably feel the same way, and I'm gonna sound stupid trying to tell them that I can help them through this learning curve and whatnot. So, and it was this whole like narrative inside my head.
Yeah.
And I was speaking at a conference. I was already speaking at a conference, and he spoke before me, brought up a really good point, and I asked him about it, and he was like, well, anytime we don't tell somebody what we can do, right, or what we don't sell. And he used the term sell loosely, right? Basically, we don't speak about the strengths that we have that we can share with the world. We're doing people a disservice.
Yeah.
Right. So when he said that, like it all clicked in my head. I was like, shit, that makes sense. I mean, I knew I needed help, but nobody was trying to walk me through that path, and the awareness wasn't there, right? And it's pretty interesting how that works. How we as we go. Through the the highs and lows and all the obstacles and shit that we're trying to figure out. I mean, we get a lot of bruises and bumps in the head, but one simple conversation can put you right back on track. So you have to put yourself in those tables.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%. That being said, tell us a little bit about your coaching program, right? You have one, correct, for people that want to go nationwide?
Yep, it's for the guys that are where we're just about to talk about. Like, you got your business to a certain point. Maybe you're doing 1, 2, 3 deals a month, but you feel like you're stuck. Because I hit that glass ceiling for a long time, and I couldn't figure out. I'm like, how are these guys doing 20 plus deals a month?
Yeah.
I cannot figure it out until I finally broke through that glass ceiling, and my life has has completely changed. So we have a mentorship program for guys that are already in the business, serious wholesalers that are looking to go from maybe a couple deals a month, or maybe you're doing a handful of deals a month, to doing that 20, 30, 40 deals a month. And it's a true mentorship. So we have, basically our entire business blueprinted in videos. So you can rip off and duplicate everything from my business. And then we help you with the implementation. So we do weekly calls. We do 3 calls every single week to go through what's going on, good, bad, or ugly in your business, and make sure that you're not getting stuck at any point in your journey, getting to that 30, 40 deals a month.
Yeah, it's really good. I'm actually a member. So
Yep.
yeah, it's really, really good.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
So I appreciate that. We're, only accepting guys that are active though. So you got to be serious, about what you're doing and already be in the business too.
If you're getting started, then yeah.
If you're just getting started, get a couple deals under your belt, and then invest in good mentorship.
Yeah. Where can they find out about it?
Just reach out to me on Instagram. It's just Nick Perry REI, and then you could book a free call with my team and just talk shop with them. Tell them kind of what you're going through, what you're looking for, because we got a couple different levels. We have our 7-figure cartel and then our 8-figure cartel, which is more for the heavy hitters. So just talk to them, and we'll see if you're a good fit.
Gotcha.
Awesome.
That's beautiful. Some final words of advice, and maybe talk about mention some things that were a game changer for you, like certain maybe quotes or just an idea that really changed everything for you?
Yeah. So I think some really big things that changed for me throughout this entire journey. I get this question a lot, and everybody wants that one thing. They want to know, what was the mindset shift? What was the paradigm shift, or the software that you started using, or the marketing hack? There was none of that. Sorry to disappoint you guys, but it was all about getting 1% better every single day. So not the sexy answer that you want, but you don't understand 1% better every day compounded is crazy. I mean, every 70 days, you're doubling how good you are.
Yeah.
So put that focus every single day when you show up to work. How can we make our processes, our systems, whatever it is, 1% better? And if you apply that to the other areas of your life, your fitness, your relationships, your life is going to prosper. In a couple of years, you're going to be unrecognizable, to yourself and everybody around you.
Yeah, totally.
Wow. I love it, man. One question that I like asking, and in business or not, right? But if you were walking down the street and you ran into your 17-year-old self, what piece of advice would you tell that kid?
I would tell him, get good at sales and marketing, and you need to become your own boss. I spent the first 5 years of my career personal training because I grew up in a middle-class household. I was told, you go to school, get good grades, get a good job, and climb the corporate ladder, and that's all I knew. I didn't know there was another way. So, I would have probably got a sale done it. I would have just done what I did earlier at that point. Gotten a sales job and then started hustling on. I had my 9 to 5 and then 6 to 2. So, any of you guys out there that have a 9 to 5, respect, but you got to have your 6 to 2 as well. So you got to continue to work outside of your 9 to 5.
Well, I think we all started our companies part-time, right?
Right.
I did. You did, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we all did. So you got to work that second shift for yourself.
9 to 5, you're building somebody else's dream. 6 to 2, that's your dream.
That's right.
Yeah. Exactly. I love it, dude. So make sure you follow, guys. Nick Perry, REI, right?
Correct.
Social.
Yep.
And find out. I mean, take advantage of that kind of stuff. Like have conversations. Expose yourself, right, to bigger questions. And this is exactly how you do it. Following people like Nick, right? And having just the awareness, right? There's something else out there. I didn't know the think got bigger when I started to hang out with people. Outside my circles and just with different and bigger perspectives than mine, right? Like it's uncomfortable at first. Like I always felt like I didn't belong at the beginning, and then you start getting used to it and it becomes exciting. So.
Yeah.
And I think to wrap it up, I think that like Nick mentioned, the key is have a burning desire to become more, right? Yeah. And then never give up.
Hey, and then the last thing is do your best and let God do the rest. And that's all you can do. Remember, all you can do is your best.
Love it.
Fire. Love it. Brother, thanks so much for hanging out with us. It's a pleasure having you over. Vic?
Awesome. Yeah,
Fam,
good job.
all right, do us a favor. If you like the podcast, you like the episode, make sure that you share it, you subscribe, like, and share. Make sure that you follow Vic, and follow me on social. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Until then, stay focused. You got this.
See you guys.